Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our latest project management tips and strategies. Today, we're diving into a critical topic that can make or break your project: mastering project scope management, ensuring successful project deliverables. Whether you are a seasoned project manager or just starting out, understanding how to manage project scope effectively is essential for delivering projects on time, within budget, and to the satisfaction of all stakeholders. Let's get started. In this video, we'll be exploring 7 key topics. First, we'll discuss what project scope management is. Second, the components of project scope management. Third, the importance of stakeholder engagement in managing scope. Fourth, how to avoid and manage scope creep. Fifth, ensuring project deliverables. Sixth, best practices for mastering project scope management. Finally, we'll dive into a real-life example of effective scope management. 1. What is project scope management? First, let's talk about what project scope management actually means. In simple terms, project scope management is the process of defining and controlling what is included in the project and, just as importantly, what is not included. It's about making sure that everyone involved has a clear understanding of the project's boundaries, deliverables, and objectives. By managing the scope properly, you avoid the common pitfalls of scope creep, which is when the project's requirements grow beyond what was initially planned, leading to delays and budget overruns. Key points recap. Define project boundaries. Defining project boundaries involves clearly outlining what is included in the project and what is not. This includes specifying the deliverables, timelines, and resources required. By establishing clear boundaries, you create a focused plan that guides the project team, minimizes confusion, and ensures that all efforts are directed toward achieving the project's objectives. Avoid scope creep. Scope creep refers to the gradual expansion of a project scope without proper control or approval. This often leads to increased costs, extended timelines, and potential project failure. To avoid scope creep, it's crucial to have a solid scope management plan, regularly review project progress, and strictly control any changes to the project scope, ensuring that all modifications are necessary and formally approved. Align stakeholder expectations. Aligning stakeholder expectations means ensuring that all parties involved in the project have a clear, shared understanding of what the project will deliver. This involves early and continuous communication with stakeholders, gathering their input, and keeping them informed of any changes or developments. Proper alignment helps in avoiding misunderstandings, securing stakeholder buy-in, and ensuring the project meets its intended goals. 2. The components of project scope management. Next, let's break down the core components of project scope management. These components guide the entire process, ensuring that you stay on track from start to finish. 1. Scope planning. This involves developing a scope management plan that outlines how the scope will be defined, validated, and controlled throughout the project. 2. Scope definition. Clearly define the project scope by identifying all the deliverables and the work required to produce them. This includes creating a detailed project scope statement. 3. Create work breakdown structure, WBS. Break down the project into smaller, manageable tasks. The WBS helps in organizing the team's work into manageable sections. 4. Scope verification. Once the scope is defined, it's crucial to get it approved by the stakeholders. This ensures everyone is on the same page before moving forward. 5. Scope control. Monitor the project scope throughout the project life cycle. This involves managing changes to the project scope and ensuring that any changes are documented and approved. Key points recap. Importance of scope planning. Scope planning is crucial because it lays the foundation for your entire project. It defines what needs to be done and sets clear objectives, ensuring that everyone on the team understands the project goals. Proper scope planning helps in allocating resources efficiently, managing timelines, and avoiding unnecessary work, ultimately contributing to the project's success. Creating a clear scope definition. A clear scope definition outlines exactly what the project will deliver, including specific features, functions, and tasks. This clarity prevents misunderstandings and sets precise expectations for the project team and stakeholders. A well-defined scope acts as a roadmap, guiding the project from start to finish and ensuring that all efforts are aligned with the project's objectives. Work Breakdown Structure, WBS. For organization, a work breakdown structure, WBS, is a hierarchical decomposition of the project into smaller, manageable components. By breaking down the project into tasks and subtasks, the WBS helps organize and structure the work. This approach ensures that nothing is overlooked, facilitates better planning, and makes it easier to assign responsibilities, track progress, and manage resources effectively. Verifying scope with stakeholders. Verifying scope with stakeholders is essential to ensure that the project aligns with their expectations and requirements. This involves reviewing the scope definition with key stakeholders and getting their approval before proceeding. Regular scope verification throughout the project ensures that any changes are acknowledged and agreed upon, preventing misalignment and ensuring stakeholder satisfaction. Controlling scope changes. Controlling scope changes is vital to keep the project on track. Any changes to the scope should be carefully evaluated, documented, and approved before implementation. A formal change control process helps manage the impact of scope changes on time, cost, and resources, preventing scope creep and ensuring the project remains aligned with its original objectives. 3. The role of stakeholder engagement in scope management. Stakeholder engagement is a crucial element of effective scope management. It's important to involve key stakeholders from the start to ensure that the project scope aligns with their expectations. Regular communication and updates are vital for keeping stakeholders informed and ensuring that any changes in scope are understood and approved by everyone involved. Key points takeaway: early stakeholder involvement. Involving stakeholders early in the project is critical for success. By engaging them from the beginning, you can gather valuable input, understand their expectations, and identify potential risks or concerns. Early involvement ensures that the project scope is aligned with the needs and priorities of those who have a vested interest in the project's outcome. This proactive approach fosters a sense of ownership and collaboration among stakeholders. Continuous communication. Continuous communication is the backbone of effective project management. Regular updates, meetings, and feedback sessions keep everyone informed and aligned. Open lines of communication help address issues as they arise, clarify any misunderstandings, and ensure that everyone is on the same page. By maintaining ongoing dialogue, you can adapt to changes and keep the project moving forward smoothly, ensuring that the scope remains focused and achievable. Aligning scope with stakeholder expectations. Aligning the project scope with stakeholder expectations is essential for delivering a successful project. This involves understanding what stakeholders want to achieve and ensuring that the project scope reflects those goals. Regularly revisiting and validating the scope with stakeholders throughout the project lifecycle helps prevent scope creep and ensures that the final deliverables meet or exceed their expectations. Clear alignment between scope and expectations leads to higher stakeholder satisfaction and project success. 4. Avoiding and managing scope creep. One of the biggest challenges in project scope management is dealing with scope creep. Scope creep happens when new requirements are added to the project without proper evaluation or approval, leading to delays, budget issues, and overall project chaos. To avoid this, it's essential to have a robust scope management plan in place and to stick to it. Regularly review and control changes to the scope, and always ensure that any new requirements are necessary and approved by all stakeholders. Key points covered. Understanding scope creep. Scope creep occurs when a project scope expands beyond its original objectives without proper control. This often happens due to unplanned changes, additional requirements, or stakeholder demands that were not initially agreed upon. Understanding scope creep is essential because it can lead to delays, budget overruns, and compromised project quality. Preventing scope creep with a solid plan. Preventing scope creep starts with a solid project plan. This includes clearly defining the project scope, setting boundaries, and obtaining stakeholder approval. A well-documented plan serves as a reference point to ensure that any proposed changes are carefully evaluated and aligned with the project's goals before being implemented. Regularly reviewing and controlling scope changes. Regularly reviewing and controlling scope changes is key to keeping a project on track. Establish a formal process for handling change requests, where each proposed change is assessed for its impact on the project's timeline, budget, and objectives. By consistently monitoring and managing changes, you can maintain control over the project scope and ensure successful delivery. 5. Ensuring project deliverables. To ensure that your project deliverables are met, it's crucial that your scope management efforts are tightly aligned with the overall project objectives. From the outset, you need to be clear about what the project is set to achieve and make sure that every part of the scope directly contributes to these goals. But it doesn't stop there. Vigilance is key throughout the project. You need to continually monitor progress against the approved scope. This means regularly checking in on where the project stands, ensuring that the work being done aligns with what was originally planned. If you spot any deviations, no matter how small, it's essential to take corrective actions immediately. This proactive approach helps you address issues before they become major roadblocks, ensuring the project stays on track. Another critical factor is controlling scope changes. As the project progresses, there might be requests for additional features or changes. While some changes might be necessary, it's vital to manage them carefully. Assess the impact on timelines, budget, and resources before making any decisions. This way, you can avoid scope creep and ensure that the project remains focused on its original objectives. Key takeaways. Remember, the key to delivering a successful project lies in 1. Staying vigilant and continuously monitoring progress against the approved scope. 2. Sticking to the approved scope and controlling any changes to avoid scope creep. 3. Taking corrective actions as soon as deviations are identified to keep the project aligned with its objectives. Before we continue, let's take a moment. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get notifications. 6. Best practices for mastering project scope management. Finally, let's wrap up with some best practices that will help you master project scope management and ensure successful project deliverables. Best practices. 1. Define clear objectives. Start with a clear understanding of what the project aims to achieve. 2. Involve stakeholders early. Get input and buy-in from stakeholders at the beginning of the project. 3. Create a detailed WBS. Break down the project into manageable tasks with clear deliverables. 4. Communicate regularly. Keep stakeholders informed and involved throughout the project lifecycle. 5. Control scope changes. Use a formal process for approving and documenting changes to the project scope. 6. Review and adapt. Regularly review the project scope and be willing to adapt as necessary, but always with proper documentation and approval. 7. Real-life example of effective scope management. To illustrate the importance of effective scope management, let's imagine you're managing the launch of a new product. At the start, the project scope includes 3 key areas: product development, marketing campaigns, and a launch event in a single city. Everything seems under control, and you're moving forward according to plan. But then, halfway through the project, things start to change. The marketing team requests additional product features, and there's a push from the stakeholders to expand the launch event into multiple cities. Suddenly, the project that seemed manageable is growing in complexity. Without proper scope management, these changes could easily lead to delays, budget overruns, and a team that's stretched too thin. This is where a solid scope management plan comes into play. With it, you can carefully assess these changes, determine their impact on the project's timeline and budget, and decide whether or not to incorporate them. By involving all stakeholders in the decision-making process, you ensure that everyone is aligned and aware of the adjustments being made. Key points recap. In this example, we see the real-life application of scope management, how it helps you navigate unexpected changes and keep your project on track. By managing changes to the scope effectively, you can avoid common pitfalls like scope creep, stay within budget, and deliver your project successfully. Let's take another real-life example which clears you more about the topic. Defining the project objectives first. Let's define the project objectives. The goal of this project is to organize a successful annual conference that meets the company's expectations, engages attendees, and stays within budget. The objectives could include 1. Engage attendees, ensure a minimum of 300 participants. 2. Provide value, select speakers who will offer insights relevant to the attendees. 3. Stay within budget, complete the event within the allocated budget of $50,000. 4. Enhance brand image, create a memorable experience that reflects positively on the company. Identifying deliverables. Next, let's outline the key deliverables for the conference. These are the tangible and intangible outcomes that the project will produce. 1. Venue selection. Secure a suitable location that can accommodate all attendees and aligns with the event's theme. 2. Speaker lineup. Confirm a roster of speakers who are experts in their fields and can draw interest from the attendees. 3. Logistics management. Coordinate travel, accommodations, catering, and on-site management for a seamless experience. 4. Event promotion. Develop and execute a marketing plan to attract the desired number of attendees. 5. Budget management. Track all expenses and ensure the project stays within the $50,000 budget. 6. Post-event analysis. Collect feedback and analyze the event's success to inform future conferences. Outlining the scope boundaries. It's equally important to define what is not included in the project scope, to avoid scope creep. For this conference, exclusions. 1. No international guest speakers, focus on local or national experts. 2. No post-event party or gala, only the conference itself is included. 3. No provision for attendee transportation to and from the venue, attendees arrange their own. Establishing constraints and assumptions. Lastly, understanding the constraints and assumptions is crucial. For this project. 1. Constraints. The venue must be booked within 2 months. The budget cannot exceed $50,000. 2. Assumptions. Attendees will cover their own travel and accommodation costs. Speakers will be available on the selected date. In this example, defining the project scope ensures that everyone involved understands what the project entails, what it doesn't, and the boundaries within which it must operate. By clearly identifying the objectives, deliverables, exclusions, constraints, and assumptions, you can manage the project more effectively and avoid the common pitfalls of scope creep. Understanding and managing the project scope is key to delivering a successful conference that meets the company's goals and stays within the defined parameters. By mastering project scope management, you'll be well equipped to deliver successful projects that meet or exceed stakeholder expectations. Remember, the key to success lies in clearly defining the scope, staying on top of changes, and maintaining open communication with your team and stakeholders. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your network. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights into project management and professional growth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me in this comprehensive guide to project scope management. If you want to learn more about other project management topics or have specific questions, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your fellow project managers. Stay tuned for more valuable content, and until next time, keep managing those projects with precision and finesse. Happy project managing!